Yeah, all right. Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to Global Power Platform Bootcamp, and thank you all the organizers for arranging this nice event, wherein we'll be able to go deep dive into all aspects of Power Platform. So today that we are going to see like how you can use AI kind of fun functionalities into the Power Platform. So we already have covered onto the basics of AI, but still we will go some basics onto the OpenAI as well as Azure OpenAI, and then we will see how we can infuse the AI capabilities into the Power Platform solution when we are building Power Apps, Power Automate, or even maybe Power Virtual Agents. All right, so with that quick introduction, myself Nandadeep Nachand, I am from Pune, India. I'm Microsoft MVP as well as Microsoft Certified Trainer, author of three books including SharePoint Framework, SharePoint Hybrid with SharePoint 2019, and Microsoft Viva Connection. On to the right hand side here, a few of the social media handles to get in touch with me. And with me today is Smita.
Hello, myself Midhanasan. I am from Pune, India. Greetings from Pune. I'm a Microsoft MVP, MCT, and author of these two books. These are some of my social handles by which you can just get in touch with me.
All right, so this is the agenda that we are going to cover in today's session. So we will have quick introduction to OpenAI as well as Azure OpenAI, and then we will deep dive into the concept of how we can leverage the OpenAI APIs in the Power Platform using something called as a custom connector. And then we will use those custom connector to integrate the chat APIs, chat completion APIs from Azure OpenAI into the Power Apps, as well as we will see how we can integrate the DALL-E, which is a image generation model from OpenAI, or specifically Azure OpenAI in this case, with Power Apps. And then we will also touch base upon the AI offerings that we have got in Microsoft Copilot. But let's start our discussion with the basics by getting introduced to OpenAI.
So, the OpenAI is a non-profit artificial intelligence research company, and their goal is to advance the digital intelligence in the way that is the most likely to benefit the humanity as a whole. So, there are some of the things that we were going to discuss about generating this natural language, such as the summarizing the complex text for different reading level, suggesting the alternative wording for sentences, and much more like a text completion to generate and edit the text and embedding for the search classify and compare the text. Then we can just generating the code such as translating the code from one programming language into the another, identifying and troubleshooting the bugs in the code and many more things, and then generating the images such as generating the images for publications from the text description and many more. So the Azure AI is a collection of artificial intelligence services offered by Microsoft as a part of its Azure cloud platform. So the Azure AI services are designed to make it easy for the developers and organizations to add AI capabilities to their applications without the need for extensive expertise in AI technology. So these Azure AI services are the tools for solving the AI workloads and can be categorized into the three groupings. First one is the Azure machine learning program, second one is the cognitive services, and third one is the applied AI services. So the Azure AI includes a wide range of services, as I mentioned, the three. So let's go one by one. So the first one is the Azure Machine Learning, a cloud-based platform that allows the developers to build, deploy, and manage the machine learning models as well as to create the custom machine learning algorithm. Second one is Azure Cognitive Services, a collection of pre-built APIs that allows the developers to add the capabilities such as natural language understanding, computer vision, and the speak recognition to their applications. And the last one, that is the Azure Applied AI Services, a suite of scenario-based services that enable the organizations to accelerate adoption, such as Azure Cognitive Search, which provides the search capabilities over structured and unstructured data by using a machine learning models. So these services are integrated with Azure platform, which provides the capabilities such as the scalability, security, and compliance, as well as many other tools and the services that can be used to build and deploy the AI-enabled applications. So the Azure OpenAI services are designed to make it easy for developers and organizations to add the AI capabilities to their applications without the need for extensive expertise in AI. So the Microsoft Azure OpenAI services allow the developers to quickly build, deploy, and scale AI enabled applications and to take the advantage of the scalability, security, and compliance capabilities of Azure. The Azure AI integration in AI Builder within the Microsoft Power Platform allows the businesses and the developers to quickly and easily build and deploy the custom AI models and to integrate them with Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents in order to add advanced capabilities and improve the data management and the security. It also allows to easily scale up and improve the performance of the models as well as easily integrating with other Azure services. So the Microsoft has adopted Azure AI across a wide range of its products and services in order to implement the functionality, performance, and the user experience. So some examples of where the Microsoft has adapted the Azure AI at the scales, which includes the Office 65, then Dynamics 365, and the Bing. Let's say three all of them. So when it's come to the Office 65, Microsoft has integrated the Azure AI capabilities into the Office 65 such as a natural language processing, computer vision, and the text analysis to improve the functionality of the products such as the Outlook and the Word. So this allows users to perform the task such as automatically summarizing long documents or automatically tagging the images in email attachment. When it's come to the Dynamic 365, it is a collection of business applications that enable the organizations to manage the customer data and the interactions, as well as automate the business processes. So with Azure AI integrations, Dynamic 365 offers the features like the predictive lead scoring, sentiment analysis, and the chatbots to help the business to better understand and interact with their customer. When it comes to the Bing, so everyone knows that the Bing is a Microsoft search engine uses the Azure AI to analyze the large amounts of data and perform the search results for the users. So, for example, Bing uses the natural language processing to understand the user's queries and generate the more relevant search results. So, these are just a few examples of how Microsoft has adopted the Azure AI at a scale within its product and the services, and overall, Microsoft has been using Azure AI across its various products and services to improve the user experience and to offer the more personalized, efficient, and automated experience to its customer. So the Microsoft has a relationship with Azure OpenAI to collaborate on the development of artificial intelligence technology. So the partnership aims to accelerate the development of advanced AI systems and bring the benefits of AI to more people. So, as I mentioned, the Microsoft has a partner with OpenAI to deliver on the three main goals. The first one is to utilize Azure's infrastructure, including the security, compliance, and regional availability, to help the users to build enterprise-grade applications. Second one is to deploy OpenAI models capabilities across the Microsoft products, including and beyond Azure AI products. The third one is to use the Azure to power all of OpenAI workloads. So Azure OpenAI service gives the customers advanced language AI with the OpenAI GPT-4, GPT-3, Codex, and DALI models with the security and enterprise promise of the Azure. So the Azure OpenAI co-develops the APIs with OpenAI, ensuring the compatibility and the smooth transition from one to the another. So with Azure OpenAI, customers get the security capabilities of Microsoft Azure while running the same models as OpenAI. So the Azure OpenAI offers the private networking, regional availability, and the responsible AI content filtering. So GPT 3.5 or the 4 is for the text completion, a set of models that can understand and generate the natural language. Codex is a set of models that can understand and generate the code, including translating the natural language to code. So it is a descendant of GPT-3 that's been trained on both the natural language and the code. And a dolly is a set of models that can generate or manipulate the images from the natural language. So now we have a background of Azure OpenAI. So let's go to the demo. But before going to the demo, let me explain you one thing. So as a part of Microsoft commitment to using AI responsibilities, access to Azure OpenAI is currently limited. So the customer that wish to use the Azure OpenAI must submit a registration form for both the initial experimentation access and gain the approval for use in the production. So once you fill the form and once you get access to it, then it will be available in your Azure portal. So for that purpose, you have to go in your Azure portal, click on a create a resource. It is the same like any other resources we are creating in Azure. Over here, you have to search for the Azure OpenAI or the OpenAI. Then it will give you the option. We will come to the marketplace and there will be the card available Azure OpenAI. You have to click on that card, then it will take you to some of the wizard and you have to complete that wizard. So now let's click on the create button, and now it will take us some of the visa steps, and over here we can just add all of the details like any other Azure resource we are creating. For example, we have to select the subscription, then we have to select the resource group. Again, you don't have any resource group, no worries, you can create a new one from here. Then there is a region. So while selecting the region, you have to be very careful because whatever the region you are going to select over here, as per that you are going to get all the available models. So in our case, we are going to use the dolly. So that's the reason we have selected the ETUS. Again, the not all the models are available with all the regions. Then you have to provide some of the unique name over here. Again, whatever the instructions are there, there is a eye icon. So you have to just mouse over on that eye icon and you will get all of the details available over there. Then you have to select the pricing tier. If you are not familiar what exactly the pricing tier, no worries, there is a link available. You can open that link and it will give you all the details about the pricing details. For example, okay, let me go ahead and for example, let me select a country and then the currency. So as per your country and currency, you can do this calculation of this prompt and completion and you will get all the details. Yeah, so let me go back to my Azure resource. So once you select the pricing tiers, then you can just go to the next, and over there you can just select the settings as per your requirement, and then you can just create your Azure OpenAI resource. To save the time, we have already created one. So let me go back to the one we have created. So this one is we have already created, and once you open this one, then you will able to see all the details over here like a resource group name, the status is the active, the location, subscription, and again some of the end key points, all the details is available over here. Now our resource is ready. So the next step is we have to go to this Azure Open AI Studio, and then we can just test over there. We can just play in a playground, and for that purpose once we come over here you can see it is totally outside of the Azure portal, as the URL itself mentioned that oai.azure.com, that is openai.azure.com, different portal. Once you come over here, you can just select the model. So the models you have to just keep it in mind. First is to select the model, second one is do the deployment of that model, and then the third one is the chat. That means you can just go ahead and play in the playground, and once you are happy with that you can go ahead implement the same thing in a production environment. So let's go and check what are the models available. Again, just a reminder, as I mentioned, while selecting the region, whatever the region you have selected, as per that only the models are showing over here. That models are only available over here. So you can just select any of the model. Once you select that model, there is a deploy button. You have to click on that deploy button. So it will deploy your model. Again, it will take 7 to 8 minutes, and to save that, the deployment is already done. So it will just save our time. Yeah, so you can just go to that deployment and you can just open this one, and then you can just play in a playground. So in my case, I'm just going with this one. There is a button open in a playground. You have to select that deployment model and just click on play in a playground. So over here you have to just focus on the three things, really very simple. The one side the setup, one side is the configuration, middle one is to check your prompt and completion. So when it's going to the setup, so setup is nothing but that what is the behavioral of your bot. So there is a template available. So whatever the list of template available, you can select any template from there as per your business requirement. I'm just going with the blank one because it's just for a demo purpose, but you can just select as per your requirement. Then there is a system message. System message is nothing but the behavioral of your bot. So let's say, for example, I am building this AI assistant as a chef over there, which is going to provide us all the details related to the cooking. So in that case, I will just mention over there that okay, this AI bot is going to help me for all of my cooking. And if you are not familiar with any of the things, what exactly you have to select, what exactly you have to do, again, no worries, there is information icon always available next to it, so you can just mouse over, you can just get all of the information. Yeah. So once you define the system message behavioral of the system, you have to come down, you have to add some of the examples. So it will be easy to understand for the end user. So you can just click on the add button and it will add all of the examples over here. Like there is a prompt and a completion. The user will ask, hey, how are you? And the assistant will say, hey, I am fine. Yeah, that's about the setup. Let's go to the configuration. So in a configuration, it is showing the whatever the model we have selected and deploy over there. And the next one is the parameters. So over here you have to be very careful that what is exactly the max response you want to get. You can just define over there. There is a template and a topic available. So we'll suggest that please keep low when it's come to the temperature and the topic as much as possible to get relevant results. Once all these configuration settings are there done, then you can just come to the middle part and you can just test your whatever the settings you have done. So let me go ahead and say that how to make a pizza. So now whatever the settings we have done, as per that it will give us the result also. So you have to click on the send button, then it will give you a recipe of the entire pizza. Okay, so the recipe is already there. So before going to the production deployment, you have to click on the view code. So once you clicked on the view code over here, then it will give us the option to select the Python, curl, C sharp. So everything is available over here. So over here, let me go and select the curl. So over here you can see there are API key points are there. Then there is a message available, whatever the message currently we are seeing, all of this content type, API, everything is available. And if I scroll down, then you can able to see there is a temperature, topic details, information is also available, and all the keys are below that available. So this way, first you can just test everything in a playground, and once you're happy with that, then you can just go ahead and you can just start with your production changes.
All right, so now that we have understanding of how we can go ahead, access the Azure portal, how we can create our models, how we can do the deployment for that model, and then how we can test them. Now that let's apply this entire part into our Power Apps. So for that, let me again switch back to the presentation, and then here we do see like how we are going to use those Azure OpenAI chat completion APIs with Power Apps. So the quick thing that we are going to do is we do have everything set up into the Azure OpenAI. So we do have our chat completion API ready. The next thing is we are going to get to the custom connector. We will create one custom connector, and then from there we are going to consume that custom connector via Power Apps. So this is the thing that we are going to do. So in order to create a custom connector, I will navigate to the portal called as Microsoft Power Platform portal, which is available at make.powerautomate.com. So once you come here, there is a custom connector tab into the left navigation. So you can just open up that custom connector. All of the custom connectors which are available into your environment, you should be able to see it from here. Now that if in case you want to create a new custom connector, there is an option at the top right hand side to go ahead and create a new custom connector. Again, there are various ways to get started creating the custom connector. We do have create from a blank. That means it is a blank canvas, blank layout from where you will be able to go ahead and define your custom connector. Otherwise, if you have your Azure service ready, you can use that, but still in a preview mode. Then we do have other two options like OpenAI file or OpenAI from URL that we can use, or probably you can just call it as a Swagger file that you can provide here, which can work. The other thing, even we can import the Postman collection, which we are going to see in our demo as well. And last thing is you can import that from GitHub. So once you click that, we do have repository URL mentioned here. So this is a repository where all of the open source connectors for Power Platform are available. And from here, you should be able to see all of the certified connectors as well as the custom connector and independent publisher connector. Certified connectors, that means these are the connectors which are available directly from the organizations who own those APIs, and then they make it published there, and then we can use them into our application. For example, if you see the custom connector or the independent publisher connectors, so these are the APIs which are created by the community contributors, or custom connectors which are created by the community contributors, and that you will be able to use from here. So if I just go here, we do see lot many connectors available here, and there is one created for OpenAI, which we are going to use. So there is already one connector available being done by some of the gentlemen in the community contribution, and we are going to use that in our application. So for that, what we can do is we can select it as a custom. We can select the master branch, and then based on what kind of an scenario that you want to go ahead, you can select the connector. So in our case, we are going to use this Azure Open AI service. So we'll select that, and then it will navigate you through the wizard, which will help you to create the custom connector. So just to save the time, we already have it created, but I can walk you through that. So as I go into the edit for this, we do have information here wherein we can give the logo for that custom connector. We can define some kind of an background color, as well as we can provide the description for this custom connector. If in case your custom connector is fetching the data out of on-premises environment, maybe on-premise SQL Server, or maybe anything which is sitting onto the on-premises, you need to check this box so that you will be able to go ahead and use the on-premises data gateway. So the schema talks about where your API belongs to, whether it is sitting behind HTTPS or HTTP. So in our case, since we are going to use Azure OpenAI, it is already under HTTPS, which you can see from here. So for that reason, we will select HTTPS, and the host name for the Azure Open AI APIs is openai.azure.com, which you will be able to see it from here. So this is the host for the Azure OpenAI, and then this name will change based on the resource that you will create into the Azure portal. So this is the thing that we have got. If you go to the security, that means how you are going to get authenticated against the API which is implemented into the background, so that you can consume that. Here also we have got various options. No authentication, that means there is no authentication required. The API is publicly exposed and you can directly consume that. Basic authentication works with username and password. So provide the username and password, and then you are good to consume the APIs. API key is the one that we are using right now. So to consume the API, you will need some kind of an key. Otherwise, you won't be able to get authenticated. The last option that we have here is OAuth 2.0, which is the modern kind of an authentication, wherein you will either use the Azure AD authenticated users to go ahead get authenticated to your resources. So in our case, since we are consuming everything through API key, we will use the API key. So this is the API key that you see here, and the API key is also available here. If you click this view icon, you should be able to see it, but this is a secret key, so you use it very wisely. So we will select the API key, and in the definition, we can select all of the actions that can be taken onto this connector. So now that since we want to go ahead and make use of the chat completion that we have seen here, we will define one action called as a chat completion. we can describe that. We can give the operation ID. Operation ID has to be a unique identifiable string, and then we will deal with the request and responses. So request, that means what request we need to send it out. So here we will have the URL as like this URL that you see onto the screen. So this is the URL that we will use to send the request. So this is the same URL that you can see here, and then all of the parameters that we need to pass on to the request that we will be able to define here. So for example, if you have got any path, or if you have got any queries, or if you have got any body, you can define that here. The responses will define what kind of responses that you are going to get once you will send the request. So you can define that responses, and all of the responses then will be used maybe in your Power Apps or Power Automate to get the values. So once you do that, now that, for example, if you are planning to use this custom connector as a part of your plugins, maybe Copilot plugins. So this is also available as a AI plugin. So this functionality is still in preview, but you can provide a name, you can provide some description. So based on the description which is provided here, the AI workflow can trigger your AI plugin as well. The last thing here is you can go ahead, test out this custom connector by creating a new connection, and that's it. So you can either go ahead and you should go ahead and try out all of the operations. If those are successful, you can go ahead and then start executing this custom connector or start consuming this custom connector into your Power Apps as well as Power Automate. So now that we have it ready, I know this works. I have tested it before. So I will just simply go to the Power Apps, and from here we will see how we are going to consume that custom connector that we have created into Power Apps. So now that I'm into the Power Apps portal, make.powerapps.com. So this is your Power Apps portal from where you will be able to go ahead create the Power Apps. Again, we do have a Copilot kind of an functionality here to get you started for creating quick Power Apps. So to see the Power Apps that you already have created, just click the Apps menu from the left navigation, and then here you should be able to see all of the apps which you have created under this particular environment. So there are environments as well, so you need to be on a correct environment where your custom connector is, and then only you will be able to use that custom connector into the apps which are falling under the same environment. So what we will do now is I will just edit this application that has been created and which is consuming the custom connector running on top of Azure OpenAI. So this connector is pretty much simple, or this app is even pretty much simple, that it has got only three controls. The first control is to accept the input from the user, which is a text box. The second control is just a button which will go ahead and invoke the custom connector, which in turn will invoke call to the LLM, that is GPT 3.5 Turbo that we have defined there, and it will do the prompt, get the completion. Once we get the output from this chat completion, we are going to show that result into a label. So this is pretty much simple. So what I will do now is that this is not a simple app, but this is some kind of an app which tries to give the sarcastic kind of an answer. So for that, let me just go ahead and click run. So I will just ask like, what is HTML? Okay, so definitely we know what is HTML, but since this particular model has been trained to be a sarcastic one, it will not give us the correct answer every time. Okay, so you can see that it has given some kind of an funny or maybe sarcastic kind of an answer. And how we can bake in this kind of an behavior into this is once I open this button code, the code which is running behind this button. So from there, you can see that we are making a call to the Azure OpenAI service. So this Azure OpenAI service is nothing but our custom connector. So once you go into the data tab into the left navigation, here you can click on add data. And from here, you should be able to make a connection to various data bus tables, AI models, or as well as other custom connector as well as the out of the box connectors available. So there we have our connector which we just have defined here. So the name is OpenAI service that we should be able to locate here and use. So once you add a reference, you will be able to use that as a custom connector inside of your application. So the name of our custom connector is Azure OpenAI service, and then we do have few operations defined on top of it. So this is our operation called as chat completion. which we are referring. And again, this one has got certain parameters, the deployment ID, which is GPT 3.5 Turbo. Then we do have the API version onto which the OpenAI service is running, and then we do have messages. So again, if I go back to the Azure portal, here we had defined like what are the system messages, user message, and assistant messages that we want to define. So all these things we are doing here, like we are defining the role as a system, and then the content as you are an AI assistant that sarcastically answers the question, and the other reason it is giving the sarcastic kind of an answers. Then here we are defining the user message, which is the text input that we are using, where the user can enter the text that they want to ask to the LLM. And once we get the answer, we directly store that answer into a variable called as label text. And then once it is done, we simply show that value as a text onto the label that we have defined. And this is how it works. So in a nutshell, we need to have a custom connector that can make a call to your service. So in our case, it is Azure Open AI service, and it can help you to simply go ahead and call those applications. So this was a very quick demo, like how you will be able to go ahead and use the custom connector, which are calling the powerful Azure OpenAI services to get your work done. So now that let us see another example of it, like how you can integrate the DALL-E kind of an image generation models which are available in Azure OpenAI, and how you can integrate those into the Power Apps. So for that, let me again go into the Azure portal. So here we have got Dolly, which is into the preview mode, and we are able to see the image here because we have deployed model. So this is the model that we have got, and if I probably go into the deployment, this is the place where you can see that we already have the Dolly model deployed, and that's the reason we are able to see it here, and then we can make the deployment. So just before this session, I give him a query like I want to generate an image of dinosaur playing the football, and you can see that the image has been generated. Okay, so this is the image that has been generated using Dolly. So you can see the dinosaur playing the football. We never have seen dinosaur playing the footballs, but this is maybe kind of an imagination that we can think of, and then we can use that power of Dolly to go ahead and generate those images out of the text that we supply to them. Just one thing I want to show it to you. So let's say, for example, if I go into the inspect mode of this, and if I try to make another query, so let's say I make a query like fox on the moon. And while I do that, I just want to be onto the network tab so that I can show it. So I will click on generate, and here probably you can see that there are few requests going into the background. And in particular for the Dolly, there are two requests that goes into the background. So the first request just goes ahead and generates the ID, and there is a second request which goes ahead and generate the image out of that ID. Okay, so here probably you can see that we have got a first request which is going ahead, which is a post kind of an request, which you can see here post, and then this is the request URL that you see. And as an outcome of this, the response that we get is nothing but just one ID. Okay, so it just gives us one kind of an ID, and then it passes on that ID and generates the URL wherein we will be able to go ahead and see this URL. Okay, so there are two calls that goes into the background. Now that, for example, if you want to just test out those calls, what we can do is we can go to a tool called as Postman. So in the Postman, we have created a workspace called as Dolly, wherein we have got two requests. One is the prompt request, which is to generate that ID. So again, for example, if I go into the view code, from here it will be pretty much clear to you that we have this request called as OpenAI slash deployment slash Dolly 3 slash images, and then we again have this key which we can use. Okay, so this is the same kind of an request that we have got slash images slash generation. Here we can provide the API version. For the authorization, probably we don't have any authorization, but at least in the header, we are passing the API key with this variable, which is stored into the collection scope. In the body, we are passing that we want to generate an image of wolf who is driving a car onto the moon. with the size of 1024 by 1024 pixels. And n, that means the number of images that we want to create. So in this case, we just want to create one image, but if in case you want to generate more images, you can put that number and it can create those many number of images for you. So the outcome of this image or this request is, for example, if you click send, that you will notice that it is just giving us some kind of an ID. So this is the ID that we get. Okay, so now that we need to pass on this ID to another request to get the image by this particular ID. So for that, we do have this get image kind of a thing. So wherein we can again use the Azure API request URL and we can pass on that ID here. Okay, so this is the ID that you can see. Probably I can get the current ID, which is here, and then I can pass it on here. So once you pass it on here, you should be able to see the new image generated. Now I can click on send, and here you will be able to see the URL. And just believe me that on this URL, you should be able to see a wolf on moon or whatever kind of queries that you have given. So this is the URL that we see. Okay, so this is the thing, like how it works in the background and what are the APIs that it exposes. Now that let's get into an actual implementation, how this can be done with something called as custom connector and how we can use them. So now that we so far have explored import from GitHub, create from blank is pretty much simple, that you go ahead and start to the wizard to create your custom connector. Now that we will see like how you can use the Postman collection to go ahead and create your custom connector. So now that we have tested everything into the Postman, so what we will do now is that we will select this workspace or select this what we say, the collection that we have created here, and we'll just click on these three dots. So as soon as you click here, you should be able to see the export option. So this export option will help us to go ahead and export the entire collection of the requests that we are sending out in a format of V2 or V2.1. So we will probably go ahead and select V2. We'll just click on export and then it will just export it. And here you can see that it is exporting into a JSON format. So JSON format is the format which is being followed here, and then you will be able to go ahead, click import Postman collection. You can give the reference to that JSON, and that's it. It should be able to go ahead and use that. So this is nothing but that Swagger definition that we were talking about. So once you click on import, the new connector should be ready for you. So this is the same connector that I have created. So if I go into the general tab here, you can see that it is following the scheme of HTTPS, as well as it is sitting behind the host of my Azure OpenAI service. We don't have any base URL here. If I go into the security, again, it is following the API key kind of an security. And if I go into the definition, here we have got those two definitions that we have seen into the Postman collection, that we have got post for prompt, and then we have get for the get image. So once we give a post with prompt, it is going to get return as the ID, which ID we will pass on into the get image to get the ID. Okay, so this is the scenario that we want to try out. So prompt is the action that we have got, where we are specifying the post verb as a post, and this is the URL that it will hit to go ahead and generate that ID. Now that we will pass on that ID to this get image. So here you can see that we do have a provision into the URL to pass on that image ID. And once that image ID is passed out, it will, in the response, it will go ahead and return us the URL of the generated image. Okay, all right. So now that we have our custom connector ready, let me again go back to the Power Apps portal, and from here we will see that. Okay, so I'm just opening up the Power App. Again, it is a pretty simple Power App, maybe just 3 or 4 controls, wherein user can go ahead, define the input, like what kind of an image the user want to generate. So in this text box, user can say like which kind of a text that they want to generate the image on. Then there will be a button to generate the image onto this page. Onto this page, the image will get created. And if you want to download, you can do it. So let us go ahead and try to generate the image. So maybe again, I will say a wolf driving a car on moon. Okay, and then we will click generate image. So by that, what will happen is like this is again kind of an imaginary image, but you can see that there are two calls which are going into the background. So once the first call goes, you should be able to see the ID which is being generated here. So this is the ID which got generated, and now that this ID will be passed on to the second call which we have seen here. So we deal with two definition. So ID will be passed on to this get image definition, and it will create an image. Okay, so this is just an imaginary image that we can see. Again, you can click this button to get this image downloaded. So again, a simple logic, but it makes a call to the powerful DALL-E API to generate an image. Okay, so let us go into the code, how it is being created. So this is a simple text box, text input where the user can provide the uh, input for what image that they want to create. We do have image kind of an control which gets the URL, shows the URL of the image, and we do have all of the coding into this one button called as this is not exactly button but a timer which gets triggered after the duration of 10 seconds. So again here, for example, if I go into the implementation, so if in case if I click on select, so on select will be called when we will click on this image for first, then after the 10 seconds the other code will get executed. But let us go here and see the code which gets executed when we click on generate image. So again, we do have a custom connector here being added from here, add data, find your connector as well as the custom connector, find for dolly, which is the custom connector that we had created, find it here, get it added, and then you can see that we can use dolly.prompt. So dot prompt is our first action that we have got. So we are calling that first action by passing on the required parameters, for example, the API version and then the prompt. So again, if you see the prompt, which we had seen here, so the prompt was following the format of prompt, then the number of images as well as the size. So the same thing we are following here. We are specifying the prompt. We are specifying the number of images to be created. That means one, and size 1024 by 1024. So now that what it will do is it will just generate one kind of an ID which we are storing into a variable called as var response. Okay, so this is the variable where the response will be stored. So now that the request will go, and after some time it will generate the ID. So I'm just for brevity saving it to be 10 seconds. So what will happen after that is if I go into this button and we go into the on timer start, or sorry, on timer end. So you can see that as soon as the timer ends, that means after 10 seconds, um, this is the kind of an code that will execute. So it will go ahead and generate the notification like it is generating the image with this ID, and again it will make a call to the other API which is available to us, or other definition available to us called as get image. Okay, so this is the get image, and again we are going to pass the response ID here, and we are going to pass the API version. So this is the same ID that we have received from the first post request. We'll pass it on here, and then in a response, we will get the URL, or at least the entire thing. So for example, if I go here, I can show you to you. So this is the entire response that we will get. So this one will have the result. This one will have the this kind of a JSON format result under that created data and URL. So this is the thing that we will get into a variable called as var final response, and then from here we are setting that value like this, that on the first element of the response, go to the result, go to the data, and there should be a URL. So this is the same format in which we get the data based on that JSON format which has been defined as a outcome. And that's it. This one has got exact URL like this to the image which got generated from the dolly. And then here you can see that we were able to use dolly into our power apps. Okay, so this was pretty much simple examples that we just wanted to show you too, but just try to get the power below that, behind that, so that whenever you are developing any kind of an solutions like this, you will be able to go ahead and use them. So again, we do have Azure OpenAI kind of an capabilities with us. So all those models they get exposed over the API calls, and then we'll be able to use them from there. Now that quickly, I just want to spend some time talking about the AI offerings into the Microsoft Copilot Studio. So simply, for example, if you have been using Power Virtual Agents in the past, so Power Virtual Agent has been rebranded into something called as a Microsoft Copilot Studio. So in a very nutshell, Copilot is a conversational assistant that utilizes the natural language processing, that means NLP, as well as the natural language understanding, that is NLU, and the generative AI kind of features to assist and act as a co-pilot to the humans. So in that case, Microsoft Copilot Studio, they offer the tools for building and deploying the custom Copilot so that you can enhance the experience for your users. Okay, so Microsoft Copilot Studio empowers you to create bots through the guided no-code kind of an graphical interface, and this will allow you to use the benefit of bots without having to rely on data scientists or developers. So how this one works is this is kind of an solution architecture for that. So this is a bigger picture of your Copilot project and how it integrates in a broader technical or a functional landscape. So this is just the architecture diagram or maybe a blueprint. So here, let's say you have a customer called as an Contoso who is developing those Copilot, and then you have your data in the organization across various systems, for example, SharePoint sites, ServiceNow, as well as any of the external facing websites or maybe even internal websites. So in that case, you can have a Copilot Studio. You can get the data from all those three things. You can use the features like generative answers to get the answers for you. And then you can deploy this kind of a Copilot onto various channels, including website, as well as maybe onto the Microsoft Teams. So with that, let's probably get into a quick demo, like how you can handle those unrecognized kind of an intents with generative AI. And maybe instead of saying the user that sorry, we did not find anything relevant, probably we can go ahead and try to give some kind of an information using generative AI. Okay, so now that I'm into the Copilot Studio, which is at the URL copilotstudio.microsoft.com. So if you go to the Copilots, these are the all of the list of Copilots that you can see on the screen. And again, you can probably click on New Copilot to get started creating a new Copilot. So I will quickly go into a Copilot here called as a customer service. So this is kind of a Copilot. Here we have got topics and plugins. So topics is nothing but the intent with which user will come to have a conversation with your co-pilot, and then from here you can have the topics like goodbye, greeting, all those kind of thing. Again, we do have few kind of system topics. So system topics will be helpful to you when there is a switching between the topics, or maybe whenever you have a conversation starting or conversation boosting, or even maybe at the end of the conversation. So here, let's say for example, we do have a topic called as an fallback. So fallback will be invoked when there is an unknown kind of an intent. So let's say for example, the user come with the query for which the topic has not been defined. In those cases, this trigger will get executed. And in those cases, what we want to do is we have now introduced something called as an create generative answers. Okay, so here we can define the data sources. So what I have done quickly is like I have added one of the car manufacturing company Toyota website URL here, and then we will just ask random question onto which we don't have any topics. Okay, so if I can go back to the topics here, you can see that we don't have any of the topic created with cars or automobiles and anything like that. So let me just ask like tell me about hybrid cars. Okay, so what it can do is in that case, it will go to the system intent of uh, fallback because it doesn't have got any information. And in the fallback, what we are doing now is that we are generating the content by introducing that Toyota company website. And here you can see that it has featured all of the things. And again, we do have a citation here, which is referring to the Toyota website. Okay, so this is how probably you can go ahead and do the intent kind of a thing for your models. The quick thing, like this is how the Copilot works. So we can get the data from maybe public data or SharePoint or Azure OpenAI onto your data. We can upload our documents, bring our own data, as well as even we can specify our custom data into the JSON format. So this is just the reference architecture for that. Again, quickly just want to show you another demo, like how we can go ahead and have the Bing kind of a custom search embedded into our applications. So for that, let me again go back to the Copilots. I already have it created, so I can just quickly show you. But for that, what you need to do is you need to go to a URL called as HTTPS custom search.ai. So this is a Bing based search, and you can either sign in or you can get started. So I already have created one application here. So you can just click on new instance, the application will get created. So I will just show you the one which I have created. I will just click on this. So here I'm referring to a couple of URLs which are pointing to the hotel kind of an complex and amenities, all those kind of an thing. So we have these two URLs added here. So just to quickly test this URL, I will just type the question like how to locate the store, and then we'll just click on search. So here you can see that it is able to get the response from the URL which is specified here. Okay, so this is the URL from where it is getting referred to. Okay, so our in that case our um, index search is ready. The next thing that what we need to do now is that we just need to get the ID of this. We need to get it published. So once you click publish, it will generate one ID for you, and then you should be able to go ahead and use that ID. Okay, so here we do have all that information, and let's say for example, all of the auto suggest or hosting UI, all those options you should be able to see it from here. So we have published this, and again once you publish this you will get the ID. That ID we have configured here. So for that reason, I will again come back to the Copilot Studio, and then I will click onto the topics and plugins. So in this, we'll quickly go to the system one, and then we will now click the conversation boosting. So again, on the unknown intent, it can go ahead and try to get some more information by having the conversation boosting. So here under the generative answers, instead of getting the results from public website, we have changed it to the Bing custom search, and we have specified the search ID that we have got from our Bing custom search. So once you will create a custom search there, you will get the ID. You can note it down, refer it here, and that's it. Your search with the Bing custom search is ready, and you can simply go there to your Copilot, and you can start asking the questions. So I will just go ahead ask the questions like. Sorry, what are the pool hours? So we just need to get that information, and you can see that now that it should refer to the data which is into the Bing custom search. So here you can see that it is referring to the pool at the MGM Grand Las Vegas, which operates from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And again here you can see that citation. We should again go back to the URL which we have passed in here. So this is a very quick example like how you can bring that AI as well as conversational kind of functionalities into your Microsoft Copilot Studio as well. All right, so I guess with that we are pretty much done with our session. So thank you very much for attending. If in case you have got any queries, any suggestions or any discussions that we want to take forward, please feel free to nudge us at this URL. So here is the LinkedIn URL for me and Smita as the Twitter. So go ahead and send us the request, and then we can discuss more on this. So again, thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much for having us. And back to you, Mohammed.